Hi everyone, good evening, good day, good afternoon, wherever it is that you're joining us from. And today is episode 3 of our conversation series themed She Leads for Impact. And we'll be yes, I hope that's much better now. Oh my goodness, that has just been the longest that has been the
Hi.
longest 10 minutes of my life today.
I'm sorry, I wasn't seeing the live
Mhm.
notification. I don't know why that is. Sorry
It's
about
all
that.
right. Anyway, at least I'm relieved now because once I start trying to find the person and I don't find the person, I just start getting worked up. Some of us are not as you're very, very good when it comes to communication tools. Some of us are still trying to keep up with you as our master.
I hear you.
How are you doing?
Good
How are you doing?
evening. I'm fine,
How's the weather over
thank
there?
you. It's getting
Okay.
warmer. It's
Okay.
getting warmer, but still cool at
Okay,
night.
okay, awesome. Anyway, today I'm super excited to have Emmanuela Imo of Hexa Media with me as we talk about communications for impact. As I was saying, this is the third installment of our series. We've been talking about leading for impact, and we've had different women come on board in commemoration of International Women's Month. And today we'll be talking about how we can use digital communication to lead for impact. And we have a pro here. I already said that she's the master. Um, as we talk about, what digital communication is like and how we can actually use the tools to amplify our voices, amplify our messages, and actually implement and effect change in our society. So my first question for you is, what has your journey in this particular industry been like? I think I have an idea of what it, but it'd be good for you to just share what your journey has been like.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me to share with you today. So first things first, I'm not a master yet. I'm still in the process. So I refuse to accept the master title. However, my journey, huh, it's been eventful. That's the first thing I would say, and it's been full of lessons. So as you grow and you're learning, you have to pick both good and bad lessons along the way and take something from it and grow with it. So my journey has been this way. So learning along the way, getting new experiences, meeting new people, learning about the industry, working with non-profit organizations in Africa, having to experience the fact that most African non-profit leaders are not techie and they do not yet know the importance of communications or the digital world, and how they can leverage it for their non-profit organization. So having to communicate that with them and help them see the importance and the need for that, I think has been the most interesting part of my journey so far. Yeah, I think in summary,
Well,
that's how my
that
journey
so
has
how have
been.
you been able to? I like what you said that most African non-profit leaders are not techie, right? So how have you been able to
Mm.
convince the people that you've been working with and just get the message out there that non-profit leaders, social impact leaders need to start realizing that technology is available for them to amplify their message? How has that been?
Okay, so two ways. The first is having to show them
Mm-hmm.
what is possible. So apart from the second way, which is just keep educating, you also have to show them what exactly is possible. So sometimes when I meet some founders and they tell me this is the problem that they're experiencing, I'm saying, okay, this is how you can solve it. And they're like, I really don't understand what you're talking about. I say, okay, let's get on a call and I show you what is possible. So you have to make it practical so that they can relate with what you're trying to, it's like coming from a different world. So they have to be able to relate with that. So I have to show them, apart from constant education, which is like the major foundation of what we do at Hexa, having to educate people, create awareness about the fact that things are possible with tech, and it actually makes your life easier as a non-profit founder. So yeah, communicating with them and showing them
Yeah,
what is possible.
absolutely agree with that one. Communicating and showing them what's possible. What are some of the misperceptions, misconceptions that you have seen that people have about digital communication?
Yeah. One major thing is difficult to learn. And I would say that difficult to learn is relative to who is talking. So you can tell me to learn coding, for example. I wouldn't want to learn it, and it would be difficult for me because I'm not a math person and I'm not in that line. So if you're telling someone else to learn coding, the person may have interest and will find it quite easier, no matter the age the person is. You get the point. So the first misconception is difficult to learn. The second thing is it's expensive. So African nonprofit leaders have this limiting belief of paying for, paying for anything. Because you run a nonprofit, you must get it free. But nonprofits abroad pay for services heavily because they know the impact it can have, especially communications, the impact it can have on their fundraising, on their donors, and all of that. So that's one very, very big one that is a very huge misconception. I think the other thing, I don't know if it's a misconception, but it's just the lack of access and then the ignorance, not wanting to, no craving for knowledge, that kind of thing, no crave for knowledge. So you don't know, you're not willing to know, you're not even interested in knowing about it. You're just okay and comfortable with the level at which you are at. I don't know if that falls under that category, but then it's a very huge thing in the African nonprofit space or the African impact space. And having to work with people that don't know, don't want to know, can be difficult most times. But those are like the three major things that I see that is holding the use of tech
I
and
think a
communications
lot of it
for
has to do with
nonprofits.
mindset. Um,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of it has to do with mindset, and me, I don't know whether it comes from this part, but that willingness to apply yourself. When you're totally right on spending money, I just keep seeing that over and over again. You want to grow, but you expect it to be automatic. Like, where is that done? You
Yeah.
have to you have to give something to get something, and that willingness to give something that
Mm-hmm.
even costs you. We just need to find a way to
Mm-hmm.
imbibe that mindset and that attitude so that we can get better, and then utilize the tools and
Yeah.
use the resources available for us. I mean, free.
And sometimes it can be time, having to give time to learn the platforms or the tools or how to use them or learn how to navigate around it. They're not ready to give in that time. They just want it fast, because every African nonprofit believes that funding is the major issue. So they need money, they need money. But if you're able to solve the on the ground issues, definitely everything that has to do with funding would fall in place, but they're not ready to give that time yet.
So I think let's look at the question of some disciplines that can help us, especially as nonprofits leaders, like disciplines that will help us break out of these mindsets that limit the growth we should be experiencing and our ability to use the resources available for us. Right? Does that make sense?
Mm.
That was totally applied.
So, like what you're trying to say is what exactly they
Yes, the
need to have
mindset.
in
Yes.
terms of
Yes.
traits, mindsets. Okay. I think the first thing is have an open mind. That's just it. Have an open mind. Be ready to accept and learn from your mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes, and it's only a big deal when you don't learn from it and you don't take something from that mistake. So you have to have an open mind and be ready and willing to learn from whoever it is at whatever level the person is. The way Africans are, we have this culture that says I don't know how to explain it, but then, you know, the hierarchy in age and adulthood, and, you know, when someone is a young person, you don't think the person has achieved enough to be able to teach you or to be able to show you. You feel like the person is being proud, or the person is just trying to rub it off on you. Sometimes it's not like that. The person just knows it. Just take it. So have an open mind and be ready to learn from whoever it is at whatever level, and see it as everyone is on the ground. We're trying to learn and pick up together. The other thing would be dedication and consistency. So we start something, and then it doesn't work the first 3 months, you give up on it and say, this doesn't work. This method is not proven to work. But actually it works. But because of the kind of industry that we find ourselves in, it takes a longer time. So if you're applying the same principle to business, it might pick up faster, because now you're not getting anyone to care about someone else's problem. Because when it comes to nonprofit marketing, you are getting people to care about someone else's problem. So why should I care? And that's where your story comes in. So if you are running a business, I want to make my face look good. You don't need to fight me or beg me or cajole me or even tell me a story. I know that's what I need. I will go for it. So principals need dedication and time to see that it would actually work. So if nonprofit leaders are able to have that time and dedication, even if you can't do it yourself, get someone else who can, you know, dedicate the time to see that you get the results that you're looking for. I think those are like the very little things that if we can inculcate, it's definitely turn out
Absolutely.
to be great.
Absolutely right on consistency as well. I think people quit too early because it takes time to see results. And you know, we're a microwave generation. Like it's not happening, it's not happening now. Like we just move on to the next thing. So it's that staying power and tenacity to be able to follow through, you know, to the point where it begins to build results. So let's talk about how some of the benefits of digital communications when it comes to subject of impact. I think you might have touched it here and there, but let's talk about it so that more people can realize that they need, you know, digital communication to be able to elevate and elevate their impact as individuals.
Okay, so benefits of digital communication, there are so much. I think the first we can say is awareness and visibility. So when it comes to raising awareness about the work you do, you have to leverage digital, because it's the time we find ourselves right now. Everyone is on one platform or the other. So if you want to connect, if you want to expand your reach and get across to as many people as possible, you have to leverage the platforms. The second benefit would be for building credibility. Now, a lot of African nonprofit leaders do not understand why they are not able to attract the resources that they need most of the time. So you keep trying again and again and again, but the root cause is still there. Now, when, for example, someone says, let me give an example. We're not foundation and we help sickle cell warriors with routine medicines. The first thing that comes to our head or our mind to do is to pick up your phone and go to Instagram, or you're going to Google first of all, or you're going to Twitter, whichever platform you use, that's the platform you would even decide to go and check for that person first off. So if perchance you tell me about what you do, you're doing amazing work, and I go and I check out for you and I don't see you, I'm like, okay, I start to doubt you, even if I don't necessarily want to or have a reason to. But that's the world and the time we find ourselves. So having to leverage digital communications or digital platforms actually helps us build credibility, especially a website. You are also able to showcase the work that you do. So you cannot take a trumpet and start telling everybody, I've helped 3,000 lives, I've changed 100 people's destinies, or whichever way you want to put it. No, 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 you can't do that. So the only way you can reach out to as many people across board is through the platforms, digital. So your website, leveraging emails, leveraging the platforms that we have, social media platforms, and, you know, across board. That's the only way you can do that. So that's another benefit. Credibility, awareness, and visibility. Which other one did I miss? Connectivity, building relationships with people. So we're able to connect with people and build relationships. I've never met
I
you
know.
before. You've met me, and
Yeah.
we're here. There are so many partnerships I've sealed.
Yeah.
I've never met the people before, but we're here and we're able to build solid relationships from just connecting online. So even non-profits can benefit from that. So that's, I think, in summary, very few benefits of leveraging platforms and
I think
digital
that's something.
communications.
What I want to ask you now, you know, there's a pressure to be on LinkedIn, there's a pressure to be on Twitter, there's a pressure to be on Instagram, there's a pressure to be on Facebook. Let's talk about how we can deal with that pressure as, you know, as we need for impact.
So when it comes to impact, we're sort of limited with resources in terms of human resources and also capital. So what I would say, which I always tell everyone, if you're considering the platforms to use, you need to look at first of your resources. So what do you have available to dispense? So do you have people, or are you skilled enough to be on all platforms? If you can, enjoy the ride. If
Go
not,
ahead.
Okay, so if not, you would need to streamline your efforts and sort of use all platforms to your benefit. But most importantly, even above your resources and the things you have available to you for use, you need to consider your target audience. So if your goal as a non-profit organization is to connect, or as an impact-driven business, is to connect with people who can support in terms of finance, or people who can sponsor your events, or people who can partner with your organization, CSR-wise and all of that, you would need to connect with the decision makers. And decision makers are professionals who are all on LinkedIn. Instagram is a non-serious platform for serious people sometimes. So the human being you find on Instagram is a whole different person on LinkedIn. So the vibe is different. So if that is your goal as an impact-driven organization, you want to look at LinkedIn and sort of drive all your efforts there. You may want to be on the others, but then the efforts that you're giving to the other platforms will not be as much as LinkedIn. So your target audience, identifying what your goal is as an organization, and then your target audience, where they are, and the platforms that resonate with them is what will help you choose the right platform. So no one can necessarily tell you, be on Facebook, be on Instagram, be on Twitter. If you want to go viral, you want to run viral campaigns for fundraising and all of that, you could consider Twitter and Instagram. If you could also even consider Facebook. So Facebook
LinkedIn
works
as well. Because,
so every platform has its own benefits depending on how you look at it and how you have nurtured or grown that platform. So all of these different things fall in place. So there isn't one platform that is better than the other. You just have to decide and identify where your target audience is, identify the goal most especially, and then walk in line with that.
Thank you for sharing. That was very, I'm sure that anybody who watches this will be able to decide which platform, because there's that pressure. Oh, am I on LinkedIn? Am I on Facebook? Should I be on Twitter? You know, so let's talk about the science of content creation. I know that we didn't plan this, but let's talk about the science of content creation, because I think that that's one of the things that puts people off when it comes to the subject of digital communication. Like, how am I going to start creating content? You know, how can I even be consistent with the content I'm creating? But let's just give like tips on the science of creating content.
Okay, science of creating content. There's no science behind it. I think the only thing, or what makes it a science, is the fact that some people, like I said before, you're not ready to dedicate the time to doing it. So content creation takes a lot of time. So as a busy executive or someone who has a lot of things to do, maybe you're the only one running the vision for your organization, because there are some people like that. They are just, it's a one-man army at that point. So if, can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Okay. If you're the only one having to do, put some measures in, goes into content creation, will do your research. So identify what exactly you want as an impact-driven business or as a non-profit organization. If, for example, you are a sickle cell non-profit, what is the goal of the non-profit? Education, awareness, and maybe, I don't know, what exactly it is you want to achieve. It can be fundraising. So if you know that you want to create awareness and educate people about sickle cell, your content will be around this. All you have to do is research, create a content calendar, and do it ahead of time. So what makes the whole process or the whole content creation or digital communication thing tedious is we don't plan ahead. So you wake up in the morning and you're just, is at that moment you say, I'm supposed to post today, what will I share today? It doesn't work like that. You would get stuck and cares of life will just fall in, you will forget, and every other thing will keep going on. So you have to plan ahead of time. Identify your goals for the quarter or for a month, and then you can plan your content around that. You don't even need to share posts every day. You can decide to share 3 times a week or twice a week, but whatever it is that you decide to do when it comes to sharing content, stick with it. So if it's 3 times, stick with that. If it's twice, stick with that. And that's your consistency. Consistency doesn't mean every day. So you determine what consistency is for you. So identify your goals, search for the content ideas. There's content everywhere. On Google, YouTube, even ChatGPT today can help us with content ideas. Just go and ask it. Right now is my best friend. So go and ask ChatGPT. It will give you as many ideas as you want. All you need to do is it's your assistant, but it's not supposed to take on the role for you. So you still need to read whatever it has given you, get the idea, and then make it easier for your target audience to read and understand. Create your content calendars, and then schedule the post. That's another thing that can help you with consistency. When you plan ahead of time, you are able to schedule. Another tip is repurposing. So as an impact-driven organization, I want to believe that you make use of your blog section on your website. You also leverage email marketing. So if you leverage these 2 tools, you could repurpose the content from your website, which is your blog, for social media, or you could repurpose some of the content from your emails for social media. So meaning you don't need to recreate anything, you're just recycling. Or you could even expand your carousel post into an email content or content for your blog. Or you could, if maybe you did a video on YouTube, you could pick the major points and, just keep that. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. There's nothing new under the sun. Just keep doing it. So I hope
this is like a 30 minutes master class on creating content, scheduling. And the good thing is that, so for instance, I noticed that LinkedIn has included a feature where you can schedule your post. Instagram also has that feature. Yeah. So all of them, they've now realized that we need that resource. And I mean, it's easier now when it comes to posting, so that you're not overwhelmed. When you're overwhelmed with operational matters, if you're a one-man army, you can still plan ahead. Thank you so much for sharing that. Master Emmanuel. Emmanuela, she does like
Thank
it. So what
you.
advice do you have for individuals who are seeking to elevate their impact through digital communication tools but have zero knowledge? We've already talked about it, but I think as we begin to wrap up, because it's a 45-minute conversation, what advice or tips for people who want to elevate their impact through digital communication tools? Maybe we should even talk about personal branding or personal communication as a non-profit leader outside of our organizations platforms. How can we as non-profit individuals elevate our impact using digital communication tools?
Okay, so as a non-profit founder or as a non-profit leader, you need to show up yourself. So a lot of non-profit founders, you would never find them on any platform. It's like they are not there. Or they have pages or profiles, there is nothing happening there. As the world is advancing, people want to begin to connect with individuals and not the organization or the company. They want to connect more on a personal level. So you can also use that to your advantage by building sort of like a personal brand, educating people around what you do. So if your nonprofit is around sickle cell again, for example, you can want to share thought leadership on that kind of topic, just to talk about it, share the stories that you have come across, your beneficiaries and all of that. Not necessarily so much. You can even decide to shut out Instagram, shut out Facebook, and leverage LinkedIn. I think even me, I'm suffering from not leveraging LinkedIn as much as I'm supposed to, but the little time that I've spent leveraging that platform has turned out to be very, very effective for me. So you can just focus all your efforts on LinkedIn. And believe me, when you're able to share, people are seeing that things are happening and they are able to connect with you, understand why you're doing what you're doing. And when they are able to do that, that makes them want to make a commitment to your organization. So some of us, yes, are video shy. Some of us don't like to, you may not need to do all of that. Just take a beautiful picture somewhere when you're working or doing something and share your thoughts about it. So that's one very good way. Personal branding, most especially for nonprofit leaders. So showcase your work and yourself. Do not be afraid to do that, because right now people want to connect with individuals. I think the other thing you asked was any tips or thoughts for people who want to start leveraging digital communications. That
Yeah.
was it, yeah? Okay, so the first thing I'll say is start small, start where you are. Don't expect everything to be perfect immediately. It doesn't work like that. If you go through our page right now to 2020 when we started, even me, I'm shocked that I was doing what I was doing. What I see is what I was actually doing. I'm shocked myself. But I had to start somewhere, and I started afraid. And for some of you who already know, we rebranded recently, and that's because everything became fresher. Everything was moving to a different dimension. It's okay not to have everything unfolded to you fully. You have to do it as you hear it, as you feel it in parts. Even God doesn't reveal everything immediately to us. You have to follow him and trust the process. So the same way it happens, you just have to ensure that you're open to learning. Start small. If you cannot handle it on your own, it's actually okay to get someone else to help you. You mustn't do everything by yourself. So as a nonprofit leader, you have your personal stuff. You have, some of us are CEOs, you have businesses at the same time. You're trying to help people. You know, everything is choking. You have to you have to try and cut down. And that's why you see that, because a lot of people, especially people who are doing the one-man army thing, you see that they don't have programs or projects or even have a structure in place, because they want to do everything by themselves. It doesn't work like that. You need to get help. So if you cannot do it, try and get help. Is either you outsource or you learn so that you can do it yourself, or you get people who you can train to carry out the job for you. The last tip I would say, or the last thing I would say, is crave knowledge and research. Crave knowledge and research. Someone told me, Ella, you like to learn new things. It's because you're doing a PhD. That's how you people are. You like book too much. I said, no, I actually don't like book. I don't like it, but you have to stay updated. You cannot afford to be in 2023 and be operating like if you're in 2002. That's very wrong. So you have to stay updated. Crave knowledge, keep researching for new things in your field, try them out. If it doesn't work for you, everything will work for you, dump it. But then you know about it, and that's all that matters. So stay up to date and keep researching. Crave for knowledge. Don't be comfortable with your level. If you need to get certifications, get it. Some of us don't like to do that. Get it because of the knowledge. Just crave knowledge.
Well, absolutely true, because the extent to which you have your results are dependent on the knowledge that you have, right? And this, even the Bible, the good book says it. Of people who perish because of ignorance. So if you want to, there's a certain level that you want to attain, then you must get the knowledge that you require to attain that level. If you can't get the knowledge yourself, then get someone who has the knowledge. That you pay them for years. You need knowledge to be able to do exploits and push our work of impact. So let's talk about values and principles before we wrap up. You've talked about getting knowledge. You've talked about reading, researching, applying ourselves. But let's talk about values, because at the end of the day, it's the values that we have as individuals that would enable us to reach out for the knowledge that we need on our journey. What are some of the values that have helped you, and what are some of the values that you think nonprofit leaders need to be able to use digital communication for impact?
So the value that has helped me, that I still hold dear, is integrity. So my father would always say, a good name is better than riches. And I know it's what every parent would tell their child, but for me it was more practical, because I got favors just because of my name. And that was because my father had, done things for some of these people and left something for me to fall back on. And it's not about financial things, it's about just being good to people. So whatever it is that I know that I cannot do, I have always had this principle of saying the truth and saying, I'm sorry, I cannot do it. So that you would, if I say I can do it, you hold me to my word, I will get it done for you. But if I cannot do it, I would sincerely turn it down. There are jobs or clients that have come to us and their expectations are so high, there's no need getting involved, because it's not going to end well. So these things have really guided me as a person, and that has been pushed into the work that we do at Hexa. So I would say one thing nonprofit leaders also need to build is their integrity. Just ensure that whatever you're doing, you're transparent and authentic when it comes to the work. Impact work is very dicey. You're playing with you're working with people's emotions. So you need to be very careful what you do. If you say that you're raising funds to help 100 people, please ensure you're using the money to help 100 people and you're not splitting it into half and helping yourself with the other half. Even if we are, caught up with the times. We know that the whole online world or the digital space is full of people who are not authentic and showing the real self. So let's try not to be caught up in that, because if we are caught up in that web, you would repel donors and sponsors and supporters from your organization. It's very important that we are authentic, we have integrity at the forefront of everything that we do as an organization, anywhere, whether online or offline. That would really help. Don't double the numbers when it's just 2 people that you helped. Even if it's only 2 people that you helped, the stories you are able to tell with those 2 people that you helped can change the lives of other people. Doesn't matter the millions, as far as you are making the impact and you're making at the small level that you're making it. So I think for me, yes, those are very strong principles I have.
That's absolutely spot on. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think that it's a good place for us to end. You need integrity, and you're absolutely right in terms of a good name. It's just and your own personal values as a non-profit also translates to the values of the organization. So if you know that you want to build an organization that you want people to know as integrous, morally upright, transparent, there's also accountability, then you must, as an individual, have those personal values. And then I always say that people should put the structures in place that can help them to be all of these things. So, for instance, if you know that you have challenges with, spending, as you said that you will spend in a particular document or a grant application, then ensure that, for instance, you have an auditor. If you can't afford an auditor, there are external auditors who take, a not so much money that you can have in your corner as an organization, but just ensure that you have the right structures to help you with keeping to your word and building the kind of culture that you want your organization to be known for. I think those are some of the things that, but you've absolutely integrity, transparency, authenticity, and I like that you've shared that you should get knowledge. So get knowledge. There are a lot of materials out there, and be willing to pay for knowledge. Don't stop looking for things that are free. Ella has told you to stop looking for freebies. Be willing to spend. No pain, no gain. You have to give something to get something in return. So for your organization, whoever is watching this, if you need to train your staff, if you need to get yourself trained when it comes to, Ella trains as well. I think you do consulting as well for communication for non-profit organization. You can follow her Hexa Media. Even though I'm still trying to pronounce Hexa Media. I'm used to yes, Hexa Media. So yes, we need more people. And it's easy once you commit your heart to it, like she said. Be diligent, be consistent. It's easy to learn, the tools that are available. When you use the tools, you're able to extend your impact and then meet people. I met a guy last week on LinkedIn, and I've been just thinking to myself, just by being present on LinkedIn, I made a commitment to be present on LinkedIn this year, just to share my thoughts and build thought leadership. And you just don't know who you meet. Funders are there, people who make decisions, like you said, and I hope that more people are able to break out of the mindsets that prevents them from, being out there, because the mindset thing, people are either shy, they don't want to talk about their work. If you say, we're still used to Ella Communications. I know, right? Even me myself, I'm still used to Ella Communications. I'm like, oh, this Hexa Media.
You'll get used to it.
Maybe before the end of this year, Hexa Media will sit on our tongues. But well done so much, Emmanuela, for all the work that you do. And I call you the master. Anyone who needs communication and needs for their social enterprise, non-profit organizations, please feel free to reach out to Hexa Media, Emmanuela, and we hope that this session has been very insightful for you. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will save it on YouTube so people can go back to watch the replay. All right, so thank you and have a fantastic evening, and we'll speak on this street or WhatsApp. All right, take care. Bye everyone. Bye.
No worries.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.